Hey, good afternoon YouTube. It's me, Chris, and you're watching Coins in the Wild. Welcome to the channel this afternoon. Well, the long-awaited time for my video is finally here. As you know, a few months ago, I think we started talking about this actually back last fall, that I had intended to send some coins off to PCGS for grading. Initially, we talked about sending some proof coins off, and we did do a couple of, at least one proof coin, maybe two. And we actually sent out a number of other types of coins. Now, I wanted to show this video before we get to opening the box together because it was a personal experience learning how to grade coins. And just to give you the backdrop of the story, you can kind of see, and I'll adjust my camera a little bit, off in the distance there. I have a number of coins and in the mint sets. And I purchased those sometime beginning late spring, early summer last year, a bunch of sets. People were posting them online, wanting to get rid of sets of coins and willing to take offers. And so I drove a little bit of a distance. I went over and took a quick look, and they really weren't in the best of shape. One man had a dog, and it appeared the dog had been sleeping on him or something. Worse than that, who knows? And they were really dirty. They were so dirty that I had to take like Lysol wipes and things like that and clean all the packets out from the outside because it was so disgusting to touch them. But eventually I did. I cleaned them all up, went ahead and opened the envelopes, and as I went through, I was very careful to make sure that I didn't do anything to create any damage, further damage that might be to the coins. One of the things that I noticed is it really didn't matter what condition the cello pack was in. Just to kind of give you a backdrop of what happened here before we open these coins, because there are some really neat surprises I already peeked on the PCGS app. But to continue with the backdrop, the cello packs, even though the cello packs were pristine, those coins weren't necessarily in the better conditions. In fact, probably the most valuable coin in this box that we're about to open was in a filthy cello pack that was covered with dust. And you'll see what I mean when we go through and we open it. But it was really surprising that the condition of the sets themselves, as far as the cleanliness of the envelope or the pristineness of the cello pack, had very little to do with the condition of the coin itself. One thing that I did notice as I went through, and this is just kind of sharing my experience, one thing that I noticed was that when there was a good coin in a set, all of the coins tended to be good. So that told me that perhaps that was a mint set that was early struck in the series, or maybe they just changed the, I'm going to say die, I don't know the right words for it. Maybe they just changed the die and then they restruck the coins, and that those better looking coins were from earlier strikes in the use. Now, they weren't perfect, so they weren't very early, but they were fairly early in the process. So we're going to see that as we go through. And as you know, the name of my channel is Coins in the Wild, and if you're not familiar with what that expression kind of refers to, it's when you find a valuable coin in your loose change or you find a loose gem, and so it's called finding a coin in the wild. It's not necessarily in a mint state, but you're going to see that some of these coins I actually cherry-picked from my local coin dealer, and in fact, I've already visited with him. We texted back and forth, and I told him about some of my finds. And what's interesting is we'll kind of get through the history of some of these coins as we go through, and you're going to find some neat examples, and you're going to see, you're going to hopefully, it's hopefully going to help you when you're grading your own coins to decide whether or not to send them off to PCGS. So without further ado, thank you for watching. It's me, Chris. This is Coins in the Wild. Let's open this box, and I've grabbed this old camping knife to do this, so let's do this, and we're going to open the box together. So there are 18 coins in this initial batch that I sent off for grading, and I have a total of approximately 50, maybe more. I want to be careful because this is going to cut me even though it's an old camping knife. I have approximately 50 that I picked from these sets to send them off for grading. And let's do this. And I think you're going to find some really neat finds in these. I hope you agree with me that there was definitely a worthwhile process. So we've kind of opened it up here, and then here's the box from PCGS. Sweet that they gave me a little box Oops, hang on one second. I'm going to turn this around. Okay. So I'm not sure how much of that you saw. I might have to edit this video. So we'll get there, get this open. So thank you for the box, PCGS. One of the things that I noticed about PCGS, and you'll see it is that they tend to be very conservative when it comes to the actual grading of coins, which made me feel really good about using them as the grading service. Now I know coin grading is expensive, and you may have your reasons for using NGC or ANAX or somebody like that for grading coins, and I can totally relate to your experience, because my fear was, when I sent off these initial 18, is what if I'm wrong? What if what I thought I saw wasn't actually what I saw? And it could be a major expense. And so I sent off only 18, and actually in the second batch that I sent out, I actually was more comfortable with what I sent out, and there are some very good grades. The second batch isn't here yet, but the first batch is, and the second batch will be here soon. And then there's actually a third batch, and more than likely there's going to be a fourth batch. So before the end of September, we're going to have quite a few videos here on PCGX, open box, coin videos. So we're going to do that together. So I'm going to set this little box aside. I'm going to grab these invoices that they sent me, and I'm going to set this aside so we don't have anything that shouldn't be showing. And then we're going to get into the coins. Now, these are in no particular order for me. I don't know what's in the box and what order they put them in, so we'll talk a little bit about them and how it comes out. In just a second here. I needed some water. And let's take out our first one, and we'll see what we have. So our first coin is this 2005 Philadelphia Mint 25-cent satin finish SP69. Now looking at this coin, I'm going to turn the light on here in a moment. Oops, this is the 5 cents. Looking at this coin, I thought this coin actually was in mint state 70 condition. What I'll say about this is actually what I noticed is even though the coin, the fields, the face, everything else was in pristine condition, what actually, as it turned out, is that the rim of the coin is when you lose that mint 70 state. And you'll notice, I don't know how well you can see it, but there is just a touch of nicks or something on the rim, and that's the reason why this coin didn't get a mint state 70 condition. But other than that, it was absolutely pristine. So I did learn that about the coin grading process, that even though the coin itself is pristine, you want to make sure, whoops, I'm losing focus. You want to be sure that even the rim of the coin is in pristine condition if you're hoping for a mint state 70. So here's the 2005 Philadelphia Mint, 5 cent, and it's the satin finish nickel. So we'll set this one aside. That's one of the first examples. So just so you know, as I sent these out, as you might have watched earlier videos, I actually tried to dumb down the grade that I thought it would be before I sent them. The mistake I made with this particular coin is I didn't realize it was a satin finish. And so that kind of changed the actual value of this particular coin. But I'm happy with the results. And mainly the reason why I'm so happy is that the grades were consistent with what I thought they might be. So in this case, I was thinking 69.70, and it came out 69. And so that makes me feel very good about this submission to PCGS. Now let's take a look at our next one. We'll go over here, and this one is our 2005 Philadelphia Mint Sacajawea satin finish. Now this one was a mistake. Again, I didn't realize that this was a satin finish. I did think that this was a 68 or a 69, but had I realized it was a satin finish, I wouldn't have sent them. The reason why, the satin finishes tend to be readily available in the better grades, and so there isn't as much value on these coins when they're in the satin finish. There we go, that's a better angle. But what I am happy about is that I did identify the fact that this was a coin in a better grade. And so this is it here, 2005 Philadelphia Mint Sacajawea. So it makes me feel really good that that was there. And now I'm feeling very comfortable about coins when see them or can identify them in better grades. So this is this one, and it turned out to be mint state 68 or special finish 68 is what it was. So very good. Thank you, PCGS. Let's go on to our next one. There are some early date coins here, so stay with me. There's some really neat coins. So here's one that I actually thought was virtually flawless. This is a 2005 Philadelphia Mint, 1 cent, Lincoln cent, special finish 69 red. There is, and you could only see it with the 10 times magnification, there is a tiny little nick, and I think it's on the back on this one. I don't even know if we can see it with the camera from iPad, because I don't think you can. It was so small, they can only see it with 10 times magnification, and that's why this coin did not receive mint state 70 or special finish 70, was because of that. And so it turned out to be a 69, but I'm really, really pleased with this because I was able to correctly identify the grade of this coin. So that made me feel really, really good. And there you can see it there. So 2005 Lincoln cent, 1 cent, special finish, 69 red, satin finish. So very good. Now let's go on to our next coin. I don't want to spend too much on these probably less interesting coins on the channel. Okay, so here is a 1990 5 cent or Jefferson nickel. And I'm going to try to get this to a point you can actually see the coin. Now, why this was really, really important to me was I was able to correctly identify when a coin was full steps. And I'm actually very comfortable now identifying coins that are full steps. It's not that difficult, but you do need 10 times magnification to correctly identify if they're full steps or not. But this is a mint state 66, came out with the correct grade. I actually thought it was a plus, and the PCGS says it was just a mint state 66. And see if I can get in there and show you the Jefferson nickel full steps. No, really can't do it right there at that angle. But this is it. So I was really pleased with this. We're going to talk about some of the mistakes I made too as we go through this, but there it is. 1990 Philadelphia Mint, Jefferson nickel, mint state 66 full steps. So that was a nice little find that I had there. Now let's go on to our next coin. And I think these are all in reverse order. So, and here's one that fooled me as well. And I'll tell you, you can probably note the obvious. It fooled me because I thought it was a mint state 68 or 67, and it turned out to be a special finish 68. So Kennedy half dollar or the 50-cent piece. And you can see the satiny finish on the coin. And so this coin fooled me. I didn't realize what I was looking at, and turned out to be a special finish 68, so a little less valuable than I would hope that it would be. But nonetheless, I was able to identify the correct grade. And then we look here. We see the back of the Kennedy half. And you can see the fields are clear, virtually no marks. Again, this is one that might have a nick somewhere along the rim of the coin, and that's why I didn't grade out higher. But overall, outstanding. Definitely worth sending into PCGS to have it graded. If anything, just to learn that I was able to reasonably well for an amateur grade the coins. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means. I'm learning just like everybody else, but I'm enjoying the process as well. So hope you enjoy this. Okay, so that's our Kennedy half, 50 cent. These get better, so bear with me for a second. Now here is a very interesting Kennedy half. So 1990 Philadelphia Mint, Kennedy half, mint state 66 plus. This was one that I was really pleased with the grade. I probably sent it off thinking that this was a 67, and it came back as a mint state 66 plus, so I'm really, really pleased with that. The things that you want to look for on these coins is, are there any marks on the face? With the Kennedy half, you want to see virtually no marks in the hair, period. You want the hair to be finely detailed, well struck, and no marks whatsoever, no contact marks in the hair of the Kennedy half dollar whatsoever. So, see that? Now, one of the things that you can get away with if you weren't 100% aware of this, and I hope maybe you were, is the Kennedy half dollar can actually have a mark on the shield and it will still grade fairly high. Now, I can't have marks on the shield, but there's often just slight contact even from the cello pack on the shield of the Kennedy half, and so you want to avoid having any marks or as few as marks as possible on the shield and on the eagle's head, and that will cause a coin to grade out lower than you expect. But overall, I'm pleased with the result of this. And like I said, this was an experiment. Most of these coins aren't especially valuable, but it was a learning process for me, and so I really enjoyed learning. And you can actually see from that angle how well struck this Kennedy half actually is. So that's a 1990 Philadelphia Mint. So a nice coin. So set this one aside. Let's take a look at the next one. Now this is a 1985 Philadelphia Mint Jefferson nickel. This one fooled me. I thought this was in a better grade. I identified it correctly as being full steps, but it turned out that actually it was a lesser grade, because I thought both of those Jefferson nickels, the one we looked at earlier and this one as well, were both in a very similar condition, and it was one full grade less. So, you know, shout out to PCGS for figuring it out, that it wasn't quite as good as the other one. Now you'll notice it's almost, you can almost see it with the iPad camera, that the camera is actually picking up on the full steps of this Jefferson nickel. So take a look at that there. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next one. There are some surprises in here, so I don't want to spend too much time on these other ones that may be less interesting. So here's another one that graded out fairly well. 1985 Denver Mint, Jefferson nickel, Mint State 66, full steps. Again, you can see a pattern here that I, with the 10 times loop, I don't want to take too much credit to myself because I don't think that's true. It's the loop, and I'll show you an example of the loop I used at the end of the video. Full steps, again, was able to correctly identify whether or not a Mint State coin was actually full steps. And it's very easy to do when you have the loop, the 10 times loop, and there's, I'll show you the example, and I'll give you a little hint at the end on how I was able to correctly identify that. So you can do the same for your coins as well. Okay, so that's this one. Now let's go on to our next one here. Now, here's a coin that kind of fooled me. I actually thought it was a little bit better. 1985 Lincoln Cent, MS67 red. I thought it was a 68 or a 69, and it turned out to be a 67. So, unfortunately, it didn't grade out like I had hoped. And I think it's like a $22 Lincoln Cent or something like that in the holder. So you'll see as you go through, you might have noted on earlier examples, if you check the values on PCGS, that I didn't make out, you might say, dollar-wise, from a few of these submissions. Probably about 5 or 6 of them didn't make out at all. But it was a learning process, and so I'm really happy for the experience. So as they say, I didn't lose money, I paid for lessons. And so I'm learning through the process. So, okay, next coin. This is our stunner. Okay, this is why we send coins out for grading. 1990 Philadelphia Mint, Washington quarter, 25 cent, MS 67. I thought it was 67, 68. I was guessing. I thought it could be as good as a 68. I had marked it originally as a 67. PCGS agreed, Mint State 67. Why is this such a find? Because in Mint State 67, there are only 15 of these known to exist, and no higher grades, and mine is one of the 15. And it was 14 before, and I sent this one in, and it's 15. They say the auction value should be somewhere around $1,850. I imagine it would go for less in a quick sale, maybe $900 to $1,000. But this coin is absolutely the reason why I made out on this particular submission. So, and it was just something that was in the cello pack, and if I remember correctly, the cello pack was filthy. I mean, I literally, after using the Lysol wipes, I had to take a wet paper towel and just wipe down the cello pack because it was so disgusting and smelled like dog. And so I don't know if the dog licked it or what, but it was absolutely disgusting. Quite a find though. $1,850 is the auction value of one of only 15 known to exist. And it looks really, really good in person. I'm sorry you can't see a better angle of it, but there you go. So, super cool find. This is the reason why we grade coins, is finding coins like this. And hopefully you find one in the wild. So, let's go on to our next example because we have some more interesting ones here. Excuse me. This is a 1987 Philadelphia Mint 25 cent, and it fooled me. I thought it was 66, 67 probably. I don't remember exactly, but this one fooled me. So this is one of the ones that was a little disappointing to see it come back in a lesser grade. Everything that I sent out, I believed, was a mint state 66 or higher, just so you're aware, except for the two last examples we're going to look at. But I believed it was a mint state 66 or higher, and that's why I actually sent them out, because I thought, I have something here. But I was wrong, and I need to learn how to grade coins a little bit better. What my experience taught me was that there was times when I was dead on. There was times when I thought I was being kind to myself by grading it one step lower, and it turned out to be 2 steps lower. And that luster is a big factor in determining the grade of a coin. So if a coin doesn't have luster, beware, because you may be disappointed with the results. They seem to place a lot of emphasis on the luster of a coin. Let's look at our next example. Oh, here's another one where I failed. 1980 Denver Mint, 25 cent. Turned out to be mint state 65. So this is another one where I thought it was better than it really looked. I don't think that PCGS was being critical. I think that in the better grades, they have a right to give it more scrutiny, because that affects not only their business, but it affects the investor community, the coin collecting community, and so on. And it's really would be a disservice not to give these coins more scrutiny in the better grades. So actually, kudos to PCGS, and thank you for doing such a great job with my coins. I appreciate it very much. Okay, let's go on to the next one, because we have some really good examples here to look at. Here's another one where I failed. 1979 Washington quarter. Came back as mint state 65, and I definitely thought it was a higher grade. I would not try to cross grade these with NGC. I would just accept the fact that it wasn't as good as I thought it was, and it didn't turn out. And you win some and you lose some sometimes, and that's just how it goes. So there you go. So Washington quarter, 1979. And you can see from this angle, this looks really, really good, but what would be the reason why it was a 65 and not a 66? Well, one thing that I can see right away is luster. It's almost dull or flat in appearance, and so the lack of luster, no doubt, was a big part in the grade of this coin. Okay, let's go on to our next coin example here. Oh, and here's one that totally fooled me. 1976 Kennedy half. It's the silver proof 67 decam. Did come back as a decam, and I suspected it was a decam. PCGS agreed with me, it was a decam, but it was not a 68 or 69. It was a 67. So another thing that I learned from the experience, it is extremely difficult to grade proof coins. I had no experience grading proof coins before, and I didn't think it would come back as 67. I thought maybe a 68, but most likely it was a 69, and from everything that I could identify, it was a 69 in my opinion. So no less than a 68. So what did I learn from this? If you have a proof coin, the one thing that you'll notice, we're just kind of tilting this back and forth in the light. Proof coins are generally almost flawless when you receive them. This one was encapsulated in a little plastic holder when I bought it, and it needs to be well struck though. I mean, really well struck. You can tell looking at Kennedy's hair that the mint state coins were better struck when you're looking at the detail in the hair than this proof coin. And I believe that's actually the reason for the lower grade, because there's no contact marks in the field. The fields are flawless. There could have been something on the rim, but looking at the coin now, I think it was Kennedy's hair that revealed it wasn't as well struck as it should have been. So, and that would be the reason for the lesser grade. And here's the reverse of the coin. Still a really beautiful coin. Still something I'm really, really pleased with. Definitely not disappointed at all in the results, but was a learning experience for sure. So there's the Kennedy half. 1976 silver Kennedy half proof 67 decam. Okay, so here's a 1972 Denver Mint, Mint State 66, Washington quarter. Now, as you can see, the difference between this one and the example we looked at earlier that came back as a Mint State 65, this has luster. And that's the difference. See that cartwheel effect when I move the coin back and forth? And the other one didn't. And so luster is a huge factor. You may have the overall appearance of a coin in terms of strike, no contact marks, things like that, but if it has no luster, it's not going to grade. And I do believe that's the reason why. This one graded one grade better than the other Washington quarter we looked at earlier that was a Mint State 65. So you can go back and look at the video and compare the two examples if that's of interest to you. And see how well struck it is on the back? Really, really nice. If it had a little bit more of a mirror finish, I do think that it would have come back maybe Mint State 66 plus or Mint State 67. But it does have a touch of luster and it graded out as a Mint State 66. So here you go. So nice example. That also was a find in those Mint State sets that I had purchased. Now here's an example that also fooled me. This is actually a coin that I was really looking forward to receiving in a higher grade. 1964 Washington quarter proof came back as a 67, and I was really, really bummed out. But I'm pleased that I learned from this example. So here it is. Beautiful, beautiful quarter. Looks great, but didn't grade out any better than a 67. Look at that. So beautiful, beautiful proof coin. Fantastic. But didn't grade out. Didn't come back as a decam either. Just came back as a proof 67. So nice coin. Not even a cameo. So that's kind of interesting. Now here's two coins, the last two that we're going to look at, that are really, really important to me. I bought these. I got a good deal on them. Let's say the local dealer had sold them to me, gave me a really good deal, and he's always very nice to me. So I want to thank him for doing that. Appreciate it very much. I saw these, and I go in there all the time. At least at that time, all the time, a couple times a week, just on my lunch break, so to speak, and take time to see things. I saw these in the case, and I asked them if I could see them. They were in these old plastic vinyl containers. And in fact, I had to cut them out with the scissors. They were in there so long. So one of the coins that I found, and you'll find it on an earlier video, is I'm going to guess which one this is. This is the Mercury Dime, I think. Let's take a look. It is. So this is 1943 Mercury Dime, Mint State 65 full bands. And I did guess, if you watch an earlier video, I suspected that it was full bands, and PCGS agreed that it was. Thank you, PCGS, for agreeing with me. So I'm starting to get those little details right, and I appreciate it. Now this one did have a little bit of toning on the coin. I sent off instructions to them that if they thought it was necessary to go ahead and conserve the coin, but apparently they didn't, because they left the toning intact and didn't alter the coin in any way. So thank you, PCGS. Mint State 65. When I purchased this, there was like a guess on the little packet that it was a Mint State 64. I thought it was a possible 66. PCGS said it was a 65, and I couldn't be more satisfied with that, because I identified from the plastic vinyl that it was in that it was a better coin than the 64 that somebody had earlier had wrote on there, Mint State 64. It was like a dealer sold it to somebody. Then it was in this little vinyl holder for like 30 years or something like that, something crazy. And so it got a little bit of that green toning on it, as you can see there on the rim. But PCGS didn't do anything other than say that, yeah, it was better than a 64. It's a 65, and it was in fact full bands. And I think they never would have sold it. Now this one turned out to be like a $45 coin, which is really cool. There are some good examples. Some of those Jefferson nickels were worth money, like $250 or something like that. But these are some good examples. I wanted to show you this one. This is like a keeper, just because I love the appearance of the Mercury Dime. Nothing against Roosevelt dimes, but I just think the Mercury Dime is so interesting. It's such a neat thing to have if you don't have one in your collection. Now this isn't an especially rare example, but it is a super cool coin to have. Take a look at that. So Mercury Dime, 1943, Mint State 65, full bands. Thank you again, PCGS, for agreeing with me. Appreciate it very much. All right, so let's get to our last example. This was an example I paid $25 or $30 for this. Really interesting example. This was another example of a coin. Let's see if I can get it any closer. This is another example of a coin that was in a vinyl holder. See it there? 1939, Washington quarter. Proof 64. The little plastic or vinyl holder that it was in said they thought it was a proof 63. And I thought, no, that's at least one grade higher. And it turned out to be correct. It turned out to be a $140 coin in value. And this is probably something easier to sell for $140 price range. That's rarer, I should say, 1939 proof. So really cool Washington quarter. Yes, it does have some toning on it. Not the prettiest toning, but it's a win as far as I'm concerned. And I'm very pleased that PCGS left it in its original condition and didn't alter the finish. So super cool thing to have. It's cool just because it's old and it's a proof. And it's a 64. And it's worth approximately $140. So between this, there's a Jefferson nickel in there that's fairly valuable. The Mercury Dime. And then that exceptional find in the Washington quarter, the 1990 Washington quarter with $1,850 auction estimate. Yeah, this is a very cool find to have. So overall, it was a win. I spent approximately, I'm going to say approximately $650. And I'll tell you something that happened just so you know why. So the estimate is actually a little bit higher, but I ended up getting credit back on the shipping to PCGS because the package got there 2 days later than it wasn't supposed to. And it was interesting, it wasn't 2 days later because something got lost or anything like that. It was 2 days later because PCGS was really busy and the postal carrier didn't get it to them until, I think they got it 1 day late, and then they didn't pick it up until the following day, and I'm getting a refund on the shipping, everything but the insurance. So it was really cool to get that back. So overall, I've got approximately $650 in these coins, including the cost of the coins, the cost of the grading, and the subsequent shipping and insurance. And so it turned out to be a really cool experience to have done this with PCGS. So I want to thank them for that. So it's me, Chris. You're watching Coins in the Wild. What do you think? There's more coins to come. I hope you also find or able to cherry pick or find coins in the wild yourself. I look forward to sharing my next video with you. Please stay tuned. We're going to have some stock picks. I'm going to do the videos tonight, but I probably won't post them until after you've had a chance to watch this video. Incidentally, it seems to be that my stock picks are very popular and they're doing quite well. So if you followed my picks, you're making some money, and I congratulate you for that. I want to tell you, be careful. I'm not giving you investment advice, but I am going to share more picks. Seems like it's very popular on the channel. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe to the channel. If you know of others that are interested, please subscribe, because it's going to help me further down the road. I've kind of not worked on developing a subscriber base, but I think I found something that people enjoy. And so I'm happy to give you my stock picks. It's no big deal. Benefits everyone. And especially with the COVID situation, I hope you're able to make some extra money, because I know a lot of people are having a hard time, and my heart goes out to them and to you if that's your situation. So I hope things improve, and I hope you're able to cope with the situation until it's over and be successful. So thanks again for watching. It's me, Chris. You're watching Coins in the Wild. Thank you for being here today. Sorry for the extra long video, but I hope that you enjoyed it. You can direct message me on YouTube if you have any questions about these coins, or if you're interested in any of them, please let me know. Thank you again for watching. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thanks again. Take care now.